The Colorado Buffaloes exited the first weekend of the 2024 transfer portal window with a herd of new linemen, potentially a brand new starting five. So in this video, I'm bringing on Jesse Simonton, coaching insider here at On3. We're going to break down the O-lineman transfer class that Coach Prime just landed over the weekend. And we're also going to find out what the Buffs are really getting with this haul. I also want to know what Jesse expects Colorado next transfer portal move could be. First, Colorado fans, hit the subscribe button to the On3 Recruits channel. We're growing this thing. It's going to be a crazy run to signing day. You don't want to miss it. Hit subscribe for me. Okay, let's bring on Jesse Simonton. And Jesse, the rebuild really started on Wednesday with the commitment of five-star Jordan Seaton, the number one offensive tackle in the high school ranks. Then over the weekend, it was portal time. Khalil Benson from Indiana, Justin Mayers from UTEP, Tyler Johnson from Houston, Yakiri Walker from UConn. Whew. That's a potential brand new starting five. It's a good group. Break it down for us, though. Who is the gem in this haul?
Well, thanks for having me on, Josh. It's got to be, Justin Mayers. I mean, he's a guy that, he's kind of the story or indicative of kind of what the transfer portal looks like these days, where he was, originally committed to Texas, but didn't really play at Texas, goes and finds some opportunity at UTEP, really carves himself out a nice role. He graded out for PFF as the number 3 lineman in all of Conference USA. So really strong left guard, played some 800 snaps a year ago, was an all-conference honorable mention performer. I think without a doubt he is the best guy aside from the 5-star, Jordan Seaton that Deion landed over the weekend. And he's, I think kind of the rare gem, so to speak, in the transfer portal at offensive line. And that's kind of where this position is at the portal. I compared it in my piece that you alluded to, kind of like a bag of mixed nuts, Josh. Deion said he wants to go grocery shopping. Well, when you go to that nut aisle and you're looking at, what's this bag of nuts? What's that bag of nuts? There's a lot more peanuts and broken almonds than there are walnuts and Brazilian nuts out there. And Mayers may be a Brazilian nut. He may be one of the really good ones, but I think it is kind of TBD on maybe what else Colorado brought in this weekend. Benson from Indiana. I mean, he's kind of in that peanut range in terms of what's more out there. Yeah, he's a P5 starter, played a ton of snaps at Indiana. He graded out as the worst pass protector or third worst pass protector, in the Big Ten. For a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders that broke his back because he got sacked so much, is that really an upgrade?
So do you view the others as depth pieces, competition, or, hey, we just need more bodies in here?
Well, I think Johnson, who they got out of Houston, again, another Power 5 transfer, he'll play guard similar to Mayers, probably at right guard. I do think he's probably a starter as well. He was fairly a pretty good player at Houston. Wasn't an all-conference performer, but he was a starter, did well enough, can hold up in the Power 5. I think that is at least a net positive addition. TBD, I think, on Yakiri from UConn. He was a starter, played a ton of snaps a year ago, only about 270 pounds, though, for interior pressure. That was something that gave the Buffs a lot of problems this past season, all that pressure in Shedeur Sanders' face. I think, Deion would do well to maybe go bring in another 2 or 3 guys. This is a great start. You're not going to turn down even a body like Benson. Again, yes, he had his issues at Indiana, but it's a 320-pound right tackle who at least has some experience. So at worst, he can be a depth piece. At best, maybe he does develop a little bit and become a starter. I will say it's interesting, Josh, that, Colorado's new offensive line coach is a young coach who's never been an on-field Power 5 coach before. Yep. So they are betting a lot on not only his ability to connect quickly with these transfers, but these transfers kind of coming in and being ready to play regardless of kind of what sort of development or teaching they get, early in their careers for the Buffs.
So you think they need to stick their hand in that tin of nuts one more time and see what they can shake out? How many more 100%. Can they take on the offensive line?
Well, I don't know their exact number count, but my guess is they would like to probably add at least another three bodies up there, whether
Yeah.
that's from the recruiting, from the traditional recruiting, adding another two or three guys next to Seton in that 2024 class, or grabbing another two or three guys, from the portal. So my guess is they are not done. This is, again, the offensive line that gave up the most sacks, 56, in all the Power Five a year ago. They only averaged 2-3 yards a carry. There's a lot of help that's needed there, Josh. And so the opportunity, Deion Sanders said, hey, I'm coming. I'm going to find him. He at least has found something. I think it's way too early to suggest that they've suddenly solved this issue, but I think they are at least taking the right steps to address it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jordan Seaton is that crown jewel of their high school recruiting class. He's a guy that can step in and probably start at one of the tackle positions from day one. So now you just got to find a couple more pieces, and they're working on that. Now, this weekend coming up, Coach Prime alluded to D-line recruits coming to campus. When we talk about their D-line transfer portal class, is it going to have to be the same overhaul as the O-line, or are there some workable pieces there?
Yeah, I mean, I know some Colorado fans are throwing out the pipe dream of getting a guy like Walter Nolan. I don't
That's
know
a big
if
name.
that's I don't know if that's realistic. But honestly, Josh, I think Deion, every indication is that he's going to address the defensive line as he has the offensive line, which is portal heavy. They don't have a ton of defensive lineman commitments in that 24 class. It's mostly skill players, and cornerbacks.
Yep.
It was just a couple weeks ago, Josh, that I wrote that I wasn't sure if Deion Sanders was serious about being long for Colorado. And a lot of that was just kind of the way he had attacked high school recruiting. And I'm not sure that's really changed, even though they landed Jordan Seaton. Perhaps that's an indication that he is more serious about high school recruiting. But if he's truly wanting to rebuild this program into a consistent winner, doing it through the transfer portal in the trenches is just not sustainable. And so I would suggest, Deion, grab a couple, impact transfer defensive linemen. They are more available than the offensive line, but then go out and get some, high school defensive linemen, some high school offensive linemen, and invest, develop, and recruit those types of prospects, because that sort of continuity and sustainability in the transfer portal just doesn't exist. And so you can grab a guy, two guys, but look at the defensive linemen they got a year ago. A lot of those guys were kind of P5 cast-offs, or guys that were on the scout team at these programs. Yeah. And lo and behold, I mean, Colorado couldn't hold up in the run. They rank 105th nationally in run defense. They really don't, offer a lot of pressure. Their number one sack guy was an inside linebacker. So it's a model, but I'm not sure it's a strategy that I think is all that sustainable for winning.
So how much work do you think needs to be done to this roster before spring ball starts?
Well, if they do land a couple more impact transfer offensive linemen, or if these guys are maybe better than we think, I think you absolutely can envision a path where this is a bowl team next season, for sure. Because if you protect Shedeur better, I think you're likely to see some growth in his second season at the P5, a la to kind of what Cameron Ward did, this year. Cameron Ward honestly struggled more than Shedeur Sanders did in his first season at Washington State, out of coming off the SCS from Incarnate Ward. And then this year he was $1 million. I mean, he was sixth nationally in total offense. Now he's going to get an NIL bag as big as anybody if he decides to stay in college and not go to the NFL draft. And so I do think you could maybe see a similar leap from Shedeur if that offensive line protection's there. We know that he's going to be surrounded by the weapons, the Travis Hunters, the Jimmy Horns, those guys. That's not going to be a problem for Colorado. But can they run the ball better? Excuse me. Can they protect Shedeur better? If they do make those offensive leaps, I think you're going to see this team, win a few more games, which would have been, again, Deion doesn't see it this way because he's kind of pitting these, we're talking about playoff. But in the real world, if Colorado goes from 1 win in 2 years ago to 4 wins this past season to 7 wins next season, that is nice growth it's indicative that, hey, maybe something is happening right there, and that there is the potential for maybe in 3 years, 4 years, for this to be a Big 12 title contender.
Yeah, and you're right. They have a great quarterback. They have a lot of great skill players. They're even bringing in some in high school level that are going to contribute from day one. Hey, if they can go fix that O-line, fix that D-line, you're right. They are a bowl team and maybe even more. And that's just in year 2. So Jesse Simonton, coaching insider with On3, you have a great article. You guys should go check it out. It goes more in depth on Deion Sanders' O-line haul over the weekend. And Jesse, thank you for dropping by today on the Inside Scoop.
Thanks for having me, Josh.